Hey, talking to myself, welcome to the podcast. I know that you gon' feel Dave Sands, the second, talking movies and gaming, even anime, yeah, I might just go Super Saiyan. 242, the Bahamas, we gon' rep, don't be anxious about nothing, Philippians 4:6, sharing about my life, sharing about God's truth, always keep it real when I'm talking to myself, let's go.
A mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bienvenidos. Hola. Me llamo Dave. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Talking to Myself. Welcome to the podcast with your boy, Dave Sands, numero 2. We are back with episode number 8. I hope you all are doing extremely well at whatever point in the day you are listening to this. I hope you are listening to this with your bellies full, with your spirits high, and you're having an absolutely amazing day, evening, morning, or afternoon, or anywhere in between, really. But nonetheless, we are here, man. Episode 8, man. We have come so far since episode 1. So far. I just want to say thank you to all those who have been tuning in and who have been listening. This has been such a joy to do. I don't remember which episode I mentioned it in, but I had a huge content bug after I came back from holiday, and after doing like a lot of like cinematic video styles. And so to continue to do content in some form is so fulfilling to me, and I hope that I can keep this up, but also that you're really enjoying it. So if you are, leave a 5-star review. Let me know. DM your boy. I've never actually put where you could DM me at. My Instagram is Dave_Sands II. DAVE_SANDS. 2 I's at the end, and that is me. And so yeah, I'm excited to hear what y'all think about it. But here we go. We have another exciting episode for you all today. Gonna be talking about a couple of things, man. We're gonna go into some high school talk a little bit. Talk about the time that I had the opportunity to actually be a guest speaker at my high school. And then we're going to go into a very great parable in the Bible, which is a very good old-fashioned classic from Sunday school, and I hope you all enjoy it. So yeah, thank you for joining the show, and let's get into it. Talking to myself, man. So if you did not know, I studied from K4 to grade 12. I did the whole 9 yards here, ladies and gentlemen, at the high school called Kingsway Academy. Go Saints, first and foremost. That's number 1. Right? So I've attended Kingsway my entire kindergarten, elementary, and high school career. And, I have made I met some amazing people who are still my friends to this day. I met some of my best friends there. And so to me, high school was definitely a different time in my life. I remember looking back and, like what? You graduate high school at, well, I guess for me, 17. I had my birthday July, so I turned 18 in 2014. My goodness. But when you're going through high school, you're really just trying to, I wouldn't even say find who you are. You're just trying to go through it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really know who I really was, I guess, until, maybe even after university, right? I'm still learning who I am, right? As everyone is. I think we're always trying to constantly improve, and we're all just works in progress, trying to be the best version of ourselves that we can. And so, high school was a different time, man. Like, it just feels so far away. Like, high school days felt long. I don't know about y'all, but back in the day, golly, I'm saying back in the day, but back in the day, it took so long to get to the summer. It really did. And now, I mean, we're in September when I'm recording this, and summer is gone. And essentially we have 4 months left in the year: September, October, November, December. And then we are in 2024, bro. That's how crazy time is moving. Time felt so slow back then, man. It took so long to finish a semester. It felt so long to get out of high school, and it felt so long to get to summer. But those days have passed, and now we speeding along through this journey called life. But I think a couple things I need to say about Kingsley, or maybe one of the main things, actually. You know, we'll get into maybe like another Kingsley episode at some point. But one thing I have to say about Kingsley, and I hope that I have a lot of people listening to this from Kingsway, and I always have this discussion with any single person or from Kingsway or a group of individuals that went to Kingsway. Like if in a group, I'm always gonna bring up this topic, and that topic is cafeteria lunch. Okay, I'm about to drop controversial news. Controversial warning. Ring off the sirens. Calling TMZ because we about to get controversial. Ladies and gentlemen, Kingsway lunch, in particular, some of the best lunches I had. I'm just going to say it. I still crave it to this day. Dave, you're probably saying, Dave, what's wrong with you? Nothing wrong with me. I just know good food. Ladies and gentlemen, Monday lunch, and I will stand by this. I've had numerous arguments with many people from Kingsway. Monday lunch at Kingsway was the best lunch of the week. Let me tell y'all what Monday lunch was. Monday lunch was a home style chicken sandwich with fries. Ladies and gentlemen, after a hard English quiz or technical drawing or math or Spanish or whatever course you came out of, all your pain went away when you went to the caf and bought that $4 lunch. And $4 back then actually meant $4. That was before we had any value-added tax, before we had any VAT. So $4 was $4, bro. No one was happier than me when I got that $4 lunch. Let me tell you. You get that $4 lunch, you open it, you get the aroma of that chicken in your nose, in your nostril. You have that, and to the right of you, you have a bluebird fruit punch. Ladies and gentlemen, after destroying that meal, I mean, it was a good day to be alive. Those were such simpler times. Such simple times. That was by far the best lunch at Kingsway. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. I'm gonna run through the whole menu, because do I still run through the whole menu? Of course I do. This meat. So Monday lunch, yeah, chicken sandwich and fries. What I could remember, Tuesday lunch would have been like curry. Yeah, I think it would have been curry or I can't remember the meat. Tuesday lunch, we'll just use Tuesday lunch as curry. Wednesday, you would have, we getting back to fries, so we'd have some wings and fries. Thursday, you would have like tilapia with rice, or you would have hot chicken pork chop. Oh, if anyone from Kingsway listening to this, message me and let me know what the alternative Thursday lunch was, because I can't remember. It's like this. It was good though. Beef, pork, no. Pork chops, no. I can't remember, but it was good though. And then Friday was pizza day, bro. Oh my gosh, pizza day. It was a very close second. It could have been number one on some days. The pizza used to be like, I mean, I looked it up. I found it before. It's right in the freezer section. But it was like this deep dish little circle pizza, bro. And I would need two of them things. I'd have to order two of them things with a bluebird fruit punch, and I was good, bro. I was good. I was good for the day, man. But yeah, bro, that Monday lunch still resonates with me. I remember things that were very important to me, and lunchtime was very important to me. And so yeah, Monday lunch, man. I don't care what anybody else says. It was the best lunch. You're wrong, respectively. Respectfully. Yeah, respectfully, you are wrong. But, you know, it was such simpler times, man. And I say all of this Kingsway talk to say that, like I mentioned earlier, I had the opportunity to go back to my high school and be the guest speaker for the grade 6 graduation for the class of 2023 this year. And that feels so far away. When I accomplish something, I do it as best as I can, hopefully do it well, and then I kind of forget about it. I mean, need to start giving myself some roses in some way. But I guess I try to keep moving. And as y'all know from the last episode, we move, right? And so when I was in high school, I was a very shy kid, actually. A lot of people nowadays who know me would probably be shocked by me saying this, because I ain't really as shy as I used to be. I know how to kind of like talk in a scenario or when I'm with a group of people, and I guess kind of make my presence known. And so, yeah, but that takes time, right? You learn how to do that over time as you grow. But I'd say from like elementary for sure, but like from probably grade 7, because we're talking high school, from grade 7 to about grade 10-ish, 11, I was a really shy kid, man. Or rather, I didn't have as much confidence, I should say. I think grade 10 and 11, I was finding my way, but I didn't have much confidence, especially in public speaking, right? Like, I don't know if every school did this, but Kingsway, we would have summer readings, right? So you do your summer readings, and then when you get back to your English class, kind of within the first or second week, every student presents what they read and all that. So when it was my time to present, I mean, I would have the printed paper with me and have the paper right in front of my face. I wouldn't look up. I wouldn't engage the crowd. I wouldn't engage the audience. Well, I engage the crowd. I just wouldn't engage the class. And I would just read off the paper. What else I'm supposed to do? I don't know how to like read the room or provide eye contact. What? At the time, I was like 13, 14, 15. I mean, early teen years, right? Of high school. So you don't really know how to, at least for me, I didn't really know how to do that. Maybe others like you maybe already knew how to do that. For me, I did not know how to do that whatsoever. And so, I had like obviously like a grade 6 graduation, and then, a grade 12 graduation. And so, I would see like the guest speakers that we have come in, and obviously, they have that confidence in themselves. They know how to present. They know how to engage the crowd, slide in jokes when they need to, be serious when they need to, do all these different things. And so I never really saw myself as like a public speaker in a way. I just never really thought about it. Then you kind of fast forward to like my university years, and I think it was like in those first year classes and even my second year classes, right? You do these case studies. You do these case studies within a group of people, and then you'd have to present that case to the class. And, that's where I started to develop that skill of talking in public and gaining confidence in myself, and, knowing how to present and understanding information and be able to break down topics. So gradually over time, I learned, I guess, how to speak. And of course, through that, and then seeing how like my father kind of speaks, because he speaks very well. And so, through all that, I was able to learn how to do public speaking, right? Sometimes I would do emceeing for my church as well. And so that would help, right? And so, all these different factors kind of played into my ability to speak and captivate an audience and, direct traffic, if you will, when you're in a public setting. And so fast forward to 2023, I got the opportunity. I was asked to present for the grade 6 graduation for the class of 2023. And so I'll be honest, this is something I do, but when I get like asked something, or maybe asked to attend something, I tend to just shy away. My first response in my head is like, no, because it's just like, it's out of the blue. I'm just like, hold on, didn't have this planned in the day. Why are people asking me this? No. I am I'd call myself risk averse. And that term is like an investment term, referring to the fact that you don't take risk in your investments. So you would invest in safe things in the sense of, like bonds and stock and things of that nature, things that are not as volatile. Volatile means it could change rapidly, like crypto, for example. That price goes up and down. That's what volatile means. And so I would define myself, kind of play it safe type of guy, risk averse, but I guess lately, now that I'm doing this podcast, I guess I'm a little risque, if you will. But yeah, I always have that thing in my head that is always like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to. I don't wanna. And so I'm just like, first response to my mind was just like, I'll think about it, I'll think about it. And then I was just like, let's try it out. And let's try it out. Let's see what's going to happen. And so, yeah, after I kind of accepted to do it, then the hard part, right, is actually coming up with a captivating speech, right? And the theme at the time for the graduation was, against all odds, we stand overcomers. And so the class also had verses that tied with that: 1 John 4:4, 1 John 5:4, and Romans 8, verse 37. And so I began to write my speech essentially based off that, right? Based off the topic of, how to be an overcomer, and tying back how the verses deal with overcoming and how the graduates can overcome things like that, right? And I remember, I think it was like 2-3 days out from the ceremony. And I'll be honest, I finished my speech, but it was definitely missing something. It was lacking. Well, I don't even think I finished the speech then. I was still working on it, right? And so I was just kind of lost in a way. Like 2-3 days out, I was almost done my speech, but then I was just like, this is kind of missing something. And I remember trying to figure out what it was missing. And the thing that it was actually missing was the graduates. It was missing everything they did to overcome grade 6 and maybe, frankly, their elementary school years. So I actually surveyed the graduating class, not like in person, but I, sent some questions to them, like through the principal, through the teachers. And I asked a few questions to them. And the responses I got I think I got like over 50 responses, dude. Like so many responses. And when I had like all their responses in my hand, I was just like, this is what my speech is missing. I remember like sorting through them, reading them. It was just like, man, it was such like an impactful night for me to like have that information and be able to kind of like regurgitate back to them what they did. And before you know it, my speech was completed. I think like the night before, I did like 2 or 3 practices, and then it was go time the next day. And I remember when I was at the graduation, it was crazy, man. It was just like crazy to like see that. It was a surreal feeling for me, because you see the parents and the guardians and all the friends and family. You see these students up there, right? And I remember being up there as well, right? I not really knowing what to feel, but it's just like, there's just so much joy in the room, and there's so much proudness, and then there's so much excitement in that room. And I remember like, I don't recall what the thing was before my speech, but I remember someone having okay, now I remember. Okay, not really. But it was something before that, and then I got introduced as the speaker, and I was just like, I got an introduction? You know what I'm saying? Delete my number now. I'm Hollywood, bro. But yeah, I got an introduction, and my heart was beating so fast, man. I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. Yeah. But then, by the introduction to the speech was done, and then I went on stage, and then I don't even remember what I said. Oh yeah, during like side note at Kingsway, when we used to do or finish PE, I think we used to say like, we feel good, oh we feel so good, right? And so I remember someone saying that during the graduation service, so I immediately like threw that just to kind of like calm me down at the front before I got into my speech. But yeah, I said that. And as I was giving the speech out, and just delivering as best as I could. I was just like, and I finally completed. I was just like, man, I'm glad I was able to do it. And it felt so good to deliver such hopefully a high quality speech, the best I could give. I think it was impactful, man. And I remember even like 1 or 2 days later, someone was just like, hey, did you do the speech for Kingsway? She was like, very good. I was just like, thank you. I appreciate that. And then so it was such a good feeling to do, and that was so impactful for me to kind of like circle back to those days of elementary, to the simple times of life. And so you really don't know like where your path is going to take you in life, man. It's absolutely amazing. And this perfectly transitions into our next segment, because like I said, we don't know what paths are going to take us, where it could take us in life. You could choose the good path, or you could choose the not so good path. And we're going to be talking about a son who kind of chose the wrong path, but in the end, he was able to get right back on track. And ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we're going to be talking about, or I don't think I said it, but we'll be talking about the parable of the lost son, which is found in Luke 15, verse 11 to 32. Luke 15, verses 11 to 32. Now, you may be wondering, Dave, what's a parable? But let me tell you, I think I learned this in Sunday school, but a parable, simple thing, a parable is a earthly story with a heavenly meaning. So it's a story that happens on earth that has a biblical meaning that we can use for our lives. And so the parable of the lost son is a classic, like I mentioned earlier. Super classic, super relatable in many ways, and it's one of the first parables you hear in Sunday school. And so I'm going to read it for us, again, reading from the New Living Translation, and then we're going to break this boy down. So, let's have some fun, let's vibe, we move. And so, we're going to get into the parable of the lost son. So here we go, parable of the lost son. Starting from verse 11 in Luke chapter 15. Here we go. So, to illustrate the point further, Jesus told them this story. A man had 2 sons. The younger son told his father, I want my share of your estate now before you die. So his father agreed to divide his wealth between his sons. A few days later, this younger son packed all his belongings and moved to a distant land, and there he wasted all his money in wild living. About the time his money ran out, a great famine swept over the land, and he began to starve. He persuaded a local farmer to hire him, and the man sent him into his fields to feed the pigs. The young man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good to him. But no one gave him anything. When he finally came to his senses, he said to himself, at home, even the hired servants have food enough to spare, and here I am dying of hunger. I will go home to my father and say, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me on as a hired servant. Verse 20. So he returned home to his father, and while he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. His son said to him, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. But his father said to the servants, Quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him. Get a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet, and kill the calf we have been fattening. We must celebrate with a feast, for this son of mine was dead and has now returned to life. He was lost, but now he is found. So the party began. Meanwhile, the older son was in the fields working. When he returned home, he heard music and dancing in the house, and he asked one of the servants what was going on. Your brother is back, he was told, and your father has killed the fattened calf. We are celebrating because of his safe return. The older brother was angry and wouldn't go in. His father came out and begged him, but he replied, All these years, I've slaved for you, and never once refused to do a single thing you told me to. And in all that time, you never gave me even one young goat for a feast with my friends. Yet, when this son of yours comes back after squandering your money on prostitutes, you celebrate by killing the fattened calf. His father said to him, look, dear son, you have always stayed by me, and everything I have is yours. We had to celebrate this happy day, for your brother was dead and has come back to life. He was lost, but now he is found. That is Luke 15:11 to 31. My goodness. We can learn a lot here. I don't know if they don't mention any names, so we don't know any names here within here. But man, classic story, classic biblical story. What can we take from this? First and foremost, that younger son was outside. You see what I'm saying? That man went outside. We don't know exactly what. I mean, they did mention something in that verse, but it says that he wasted all his money in wild living. So he was outside. He was partying it up. I can't believe the father actually agreed to, give his son his estate before he dies. Obviously the estate is transferred over after, the parents pass away, but son was like, buddy, I gotta go outside now. I got gals waiting for me right now by the camels, dad. Can I have the estate? Bob's just like, all right. And just kind of going through this right now, it's just like the son packed his belongings, moved out to a distant land, wasted all his money. By the time his money ran out, there was a famine, so he couldn't have anything to eat. He had to go and get hired by a farmer. He had to work with the pigs. The young man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good to him. That probably looked like Cheesecake Factory. I like Cheesecake Factory. Anyway, so it looked so good to him. Then when he finally came to his senses, I'm glad he finally came to his senses. He was just like, man, even the servants at the crib got food. They got more food than me right now. So I'm just going to say, Daddy, I've sinned against both heaven and you. I'm no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me as a hired servant. And when I was kind of reading this passage, and sometimes I think about this just separately, just in my deep thoughts, I wonder if the Lord allows us sometimes to go off the path that we're supposed to be on. Not saying that you should go actively sin, but I'm saying that I wonder if the Lord says, hey, in order for you to truly come back to me, I'm going to let you go do whatever you want. You could go live wildly for X amount of time. And you'll see that wild living ain't really the living you want to be doing. And if we think about the beginning of this chapter, it's crazy how the father just kind of agreed to say, you know what? Here's the estate. Here is half the estate. Here you go. There it is. You want some money? Here you go. Take it, right? And there was no hesitation with it. So I wonder if the father was just like, you know what? I think my son needs to learn a lesson here. Forget the money for a second. I need my son to learn a lesson that he won't forget, so that once he goes through that pain, once he goes through that suffering of chilling with the pigs and wanting their food, then he will return home and realize what he has, right? And I think that's such an important lesson to kind of take in, because I think we always think, my boy said this, I think it's like, we always think the grass is greener on the other side, but it was just like, the grass is greener where you water it. Ooh, that was such a bar when he said that, bro. Such a bar. And so I think the son thought like, man, I need to see what's on the other side of life before I could truly settle into what I have here. And then once the son realized that, he was just like, okay, I know I messed up. I know I goofed up. I gotta go home. But the great thing about that is that the father didn't like scold him or like told him, I told you so. But he embraced him. Verse 20 So he returned home to his father, and while he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. He was like, I miss you, dog. I miss you, son. And the son was just like, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you. I'm no longer worthy of being called your son. Let me, I'll work for you. But, the father was just like, the father ignored that. He was just like, forget that. Servants, bring him the LV robe. Get him the Louis Vuitton sandals. Get him the NBA championship ring. Kill the fattest calf in the land. We gonna celebrate tonight. Come on, we gotta party it up. My son has returned home. And I could also understand what the older brother was like, right? Because the older son, was doing what he was supposed to do. He returned back to the crib, and he just heard this music and dance, and he probably heard like the Cupid Shuffle, and he was just like, why are we doing the Cupid Shuffle right now? What's going on? And the servant was like, your brother's back. And he was like, my brother is back. My brother is back. The only thing that's hurting is my back from working in these fields. You know what I'm saying? Back? What do you mean? So the older brother became angry. Wouldn't go in the crib. His father came out, begged him to come in. And he was just like, I've been doing all these things. I've stayed on the right path. I've been doing what I was supposed to do. You ain't even killed like the little goat for me and the boys when they come over and like we chillin' or whatever. So it's just like, why are we celebrating this man who just literally had a heyday and just went wild? But you know what the father said? The father said, look, dear son, you always stayed by me and everything I have is yours. So the father isn't denying that his eldest son wasn't loyal to him and didn't do what was right. He made sure to let him know, like, hey, listen, I hear what you're saying. You stayed by me and everything I have is yours. So let's not forget that. The oldest son still has his share of the estate. It doesn't say here that he spent it, so I would like to assume that he got that in the bank right now, hopefully receiving some interest. But no, the father continued on by saying, we had to celebrate this happy day. Your brother was dead and he came back to life. He was lost, but now he is found. And I think that's such an amazing story because it's like, we all go off the path. We all do. We all sin and fall short of the glory of God, right? Romans 3:23, I believe. For all have sinned and fall. Yep, Romans 3:23. There we go. For all have sinned and fall short of the. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. And so we've all fallen off the path. We've all been on, separation with God, right? We've all had those points in our life. But I think it's important to understand from this parable that God is just waiting for us to come back. He never left. We left. He never did, right? And so he's waiting for us to come back to him. And he's going to welcome us with open arms. No judgment. He's going to be like, son, for the lady's daughter, you have returned. Welcome back. We've missed you. I've missed you. And I think that's so important, right? That we understand that. No matter how far you go off the path, no matter how times you backslide, no matter how times you do the same sin over and over again, God is still here to accept us. To accept us like nothing happened. I'll just read quickly what the study Bible kind of highlights in the notes here, just so that we could, finish things off. It says here, and this is covering the whole story of the parable of the lost son. The story of the lost son wonderfully illustrates the theme of Luke's Gospel 19, verse 9 to 10, and the keys to spiritual renewal. We may have been like the younger son, who chose a life of sinful pleasure. With time, however, we discovered that we had become slaves to our sinful and selfish lifestyles. We may have awakened to the reality that our lives were far from we may have awakened to the reality that our lives were far from what we or God had hoped for. There we go. Seeing that truth may have caused us to redirect the course of our lives. Or we may be more like the older brother, who spent his life trying to earn the love his father freely offered. If this is the role we are playing, we must see the truth that God loves all his children. We must not refuse to forgive and accept those whom God has forgiven, even if we do not struggle with the same sins. We must humble ourselves and admit our own sins of self-righteousness and pride, which separates us from the Father's love as much as any sins of the flesh. And I think that ties it in right there. Ladies and gentlemen, regardless of where you are in your life, regardless how far you may be off the path, know that God is willing to accept us at any point. We could always turn around our lives and we could always go right back to him. And so we'll call that Selah right there. And so I think that ends today's episode of the Talking to Myself podcast. If you have enjoyed this episode, please let me know. Leave a 5-star review if you are enjoying it. Thank you all for listening. And once again, man, know that you could always go back to God. Great story. Very good messaging. And we move, of course. Selah, God is good. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out. We move!